Hey guys, somebody was looking at a video from the old Japanese farmhouse recently and they talked about this room. Just thought I might share it with you. Some of you will be very familiar with some of the parts of this room, but just wanted to show you a bit of the detail. For example, on the window, that thin framing that goes around the window there, decorative. Probably our favourite room in the house, this one. And some of you will be familiar with that scene. Quite often there'll be a big fat guy in the middle of that frame talking nonsense. Much better without that guy in the way. But again, the detail's amazing. When you look at the detail, look at the waterfall there. And the trees, you look at the detail. And those little handles themselves, look. And the river. That tree, look at that tree. So this is just a standard room. This is a normal old house in Japan. There's nothing special about this house. It's just a normal old house. But just the detail, the trimming around the tatami mat. Just all the little bits of detail in the place. The light fitting. And again, lots of nice wood. And then the way it's suspended, not just by a couple of chains, but by a couple of fixed pieces, and then the chain underneath. Just little bits, little things like that we're forever noticing around the place. And of course the wooden ceiling. Oh, these windows. So originally this room was actually divided into 2 rooms plus a veranda with sliding doors, and we removed the doors to make it one big open space. But the idea of these is that you can open them up to either let the ventilation through or close them up if you want to keep the room warmer in winter or something like that. So we just leave them closed. But again, decorative, aren't they? There's a better look at the ceiling. So occasionally, on a quiet day, I might spend some time lying on the floor in this room, looking up at that ceiling, Look at that. So this is part above the sliding doors between these 2 rooms. And these 2 pieces are identical because they've been cut from a fairly big tree, and they must have been cut beside each other because the actual shape of them is exactly the same. So again, the occasional Sunday afternoon lying on the back on the tatami looking up at the ceiling and that wood and looking at it and realizing, yeah, it's exactly the same. So those 2 pieces were actually side by side. And they like those holes are actually made by, things that bore through wood. Some sort of insect probably. So there's the sliding, that's where the doors would have been sliding originally between the 2 rooms. So those featured doors that had a picture on them are actually in the other building at the back. Some of you might remember when we did that up, we used the doors from this room into that room. But you're lying on that tatami floor on a hot day with the aircon on is quite a pleasure. So there's the veranda. That's really common too. So all of this, those of you who have been in old Japanese houses will recognize all of this. There's nothing unusual about this at all. It's just standard. The climbing jungle gym is an optional extra. So this little space up here it's a little Shinto thing, maybe. The stuff that's gone on there has been actually by the father-in-law, the Japanese father-in-law. He sort of takes over the spiritual side of the family as far as the Shinto stuff and the Buddhist stuff, and so he's actually put those decorative things up there, or not decorative, those symbolic things up there. So it's a little bit of a sort of a miniature kamidana, little sort of thing, little spiritual place. That's just a cupboard, but with a great picture on it. And this would have been where the Butsudan was, so the big Buddhist shrine, and it had doors on the front of it. But we need the space to be more practical, so we use it to store kids' toys. And then this is really common too, between the Butsudan and the Kotodama. Kotodama? Oh, I might have got that wrong. There's this decorative piece of wood, which again is just a rough piece of wood that's been bored through by some sort of boring thing, a boring insect that's bored through it with some knots in it. And this is really common too. You'll see this all the time if you go to an old house or go to a ryokan or somewhere. They like that natural piece of wood there in that particular position too. That's usually where you'll see it. Sometimes really, really rough, like it's just a piece of tree. And really natural as possible. And that's the Kotodama. Kotodama? Where originally there wouldn't have been anything there but maybe a vase and a scroll, possibly. We've showed you those before in the old buildings playlist. We showed you Kotodama before. Usually just a scroll and a vase in there. They're usually very minimalist. But we have to be a bit more practical because we have a family to live in this space. Oh yeah, just a little light up there with paper. So those windows are paper up there, and as is that light. And again, the wooden ceiling, and that's not actually bamboo. It's made to look like bamboo, but it actually isn't. It's fake. But it looks good, doesn't it? So yeah, we love this room. It's our relaxation room, really, as you can sort of see. And that's the workroom. That's where this video is being made right now, at that table. Some of you would have seen that. Used to be a cupboard, and turned it into that workspace. Again, practicality is important for us because we have to live in this space. But that's our tatami room. We love it. Hope somebody enjoyed that. More videos coming soon.